Welcome to the second conversation we have in the year 2024 about the politics of our country. And as we were beginning this particular weekend, as we were preparing, my team and I always ask, what is the hottest conversation at this moment in time? And today, believe it or not, the hottest conversation is about Mount Kenya unity. It's just not going away. It started from last week, and last week, remember, I was advising Dende that he needs to get new friends because the ones he has seem to be setting him up with the president and the deputy president. There's been a tapering down of that conversation. You don't hear as much of it. There was a reaction, I think, towards the end of the week in Madeira also. And this is what I was worried about. The possibility that because of the premature overt ambition by Dende Nyoro, which he himself has actually not presented, incidentally, it's his friends or people he's with, and primarily actually three people he's with, that is Mheshimiwa Mureu, Senator Ruto, primarily, and I guess Kororia from Kiambu keeps being mentioned. But the reality of it is, this conversation is now alive, right? Today's papers, the Sunday, the weekend papers, had that as a primary conversation. Mount Kenya, what's going on? In Mount Kenya, there's a saying that if you see a tortoise on top of the table, it didn't get itself there. That it must have been put there by someone because it cannot get on the table by itself. That conversation is doing the rounds. But my personal position about this is varied. First, I do not think there is anybody who will tell Dende not to have an ambition, right? I had some people saying, why isn't he coming out? And even I challenged him to come out and put down these endorsements that are coming from his colleagues. But the reality is also for most politicians, when other people start saying you can be something, you will not be the first person to say you cannot be. And remember that this particular conversation began in Kiharo, which is Dende's constituency. It would be a very unwise member of parliament who would stand up in front of his own people and say, no, hiyo kitu mnasema, siwezi. So really, we can't point too many fingers at Dende for not speaking about this issue. But let's also analyze what this issue means. The first reality that I have talked about over and over again from when I started making these conversations is that Kenya's politics is done through tribes. In America, you have the Democratic Party, you have the Republicans. In the UK, you have the Conservatives and the Liberals. And in very many other countries. In Kenya, we have parties. But parties are just the political face of coalitions of ethnic communities. And that is what happens. President Ruto did a major effort to try and transcend that. And to some extent, he succeeded, but not enough. And I have reached a point in my life that I do not think our generation is going to be able to get out of political mobilization through ethnic identities. So the reality is that our ethnic identities are actually primarily political. When you find a Luya, or a Kikuyu, or a Kalenjin, or a Kamba, or a Maasai, or anybody else, the place where the rest of the country gets to know you well is politically. Oh, Maasais are supporting this, Kambas are supporting this, Kikuyus are supporting this, despite the fact that there will never be a time when all the Kikuyus, or all the Kalenjins, or all the Maasais are on one side. Plus also, we all don't live in just particular places. You will find Somalis everywhere, Maasais everywhere, Luyas everywhere, Kikuyus everywhere, Kalenjins everywhere. But at a certain point, when we start doing politics, we now start identifying numbers based on our ethnic identities and our ethnic population figures. So what does that mean? It means that when you speak about Kikuyus or Mount Kenya region, you're speaking about us primarily politically. Now, the efforts that are ongoing at the moment, the conversation that is ongoing, is not so much about Dende and Deputy President Gachagua, it's about unity, or disunity of the largest political bloc we have in Kenya today. There has been the argument that Mount Kenya is a, what do you call them? In business, when you go to a mall, you have an anchor tenant. The tenant who is usually a major supermarket. The tenant who gets business, gets space, and because of the people who come there, then they support other businesses to come on board. So there's been an argument that Mount Kenya is an anchor tenant of the Kenya Kwanza political formation. Of course, there's also the Kalenjin, which is a major anchor tenant over there. But then, of course, there's the one thing Kenya Kwanza did, they actually got votes across the country. The president recently said he managed to get over 25% in 35 counties. That's a big one, right? So we can't overstate that. But the perception will always continue that this government is the Kikuyus, the Kalenjins, then we have a bit of, we have the Somalis, like that. And it just rolls out like that. But, so when we come into this Mount Kenya conversation, you ask yourself, what is in our best interests? And this is a conversation we need to have. I did not vote for Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. I didn't even vote for William Ruto. I voted for the Azimio side. That was our candidate. But once the elections were over and the new formation took over, as a Mount Kenya political participant and leader of the Mount Kenya region, I had to sit back and ask myself, okay, so now this is the formation we're in. We're in a government that is led by President William Ruto, deputized by Rigathi Gachagua, and has the following dynamics. As a region, as a member of this region, as a member of this community, as a person from Nyeri, where are our interests best served? And I had to accept that it is in our interest for this government to succeed. If this government succeeds, by default, Nyeri County is going to succeed because the deputy president comes from here. Central is going to do well because the deputy president comes from here. Mount Kenya region is going to be favored because the president comes from here. Fact. But I'm sure if you are from the Rift Valley, your argument is the same. This government must succeed. Why? Because if this government succeeds, Sugoi is going to succeed. Eldoret is going to succeed. Rift Valley is going to succeed. So even as we look at the nation succeeding, remember we start from somewhere moving up. So the reason we want Kenya Kwanza to succeed is because whether we voted for them or not, their success is going to start from where we are going national. The reason you see other regions now striving to get into government, you see coasts which did not, as a region, support this government, working up modalities of how to work with this government. You see Nyanza members of parliament organizing themselves to get into a conversation with this government. You see Upper Eastern, Kambas, and the government trying to get into a conversation. You see Kalonzo agreeing to chair a national dialogue forum with President Ruto, despite the fact that he had refused to accept that President Ruto was president. It's because once you get into an arrangement like that, then your local, your regional succeeds together with the nation. That is just the reality of our politics. So this is what I would like to say. It is imperative for our region to stay united. The conversation that is going on about whether you're on one side or the other side, the supremacy, but it's actually not a supremacy, let's be honest, it's not a supremacy fight. There is nothing Dende is going to do that is going to stop Rigathi from being the president, at least not for the next 4 years. I also, and I have said this before as well, I have watched President William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, and their dynamic and their relationship is not the kind of relationship that is going to allow a third party to come and damage it. If any damage was to happen to that relationship, it would have to be from within them, the two of them, not from outside. And they also appreciate the fact that they are better together than apart. I do not think William Ruto is going to start a fight with the deputy president, or the deputy president is going to start a fight with the president, because it doesn't benefit either of them. We're in a country that is going through a very difficult, very challenging economic time. The presidency is working on that issue together. I don't see them starting to fight each other for regional supremacy fights. So first and foremost, let's agree that the regional supremacy fight that we are having is not going to be welcomed or appreciated, or it's not going to benefit the presidency as we have it today. So who is it going to benefit? It's not going to benefit the region, Mount Kenya region, for a fact. If we are united, we are able to lobby together. When we are united, we are relevant in the nation's politics. If we are united, our numbers count. If we are united, we are able to speak with one voice on issues, whether it is about resource mobilization, resource allocation, it's about boundaries, which is a hot topic that's coming up very soon. It's about the issue of how to meet population with resources. We are able to speak with one voice. If we are disunited, then we have too many voices saying different things, so nobody's going to listen to us. So it is in our interest as a community to be united. Anybody, whoever they are, and I have said this before, and this was an argument I had even when I was having a problem with my former boss Uhuru Kenyatta, and the suggestion that he could be planning to come back into politics and take a position against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. I was like, no. At this moment in time, the same way everybody supported Uhuru Kenyatta, whether you agreed with him or not, whether you had initially been his supporter or not, once he became president, as a region, we galvanized ourselves behind him. It's the same way we must galvanize ourselves behind Rigathi Gachagua. It is not about Rigathi Gachagua. It is about us, our regional interest, our development needs. They are best served when we are united political community, lobbying together at legislature level, at county level, negotiating together, because the resources of this country are never going to be enough for everybody. So you get more based on the numbers you have and how you strategize yourself. So we must, as a community, lobby together. And this in no way attacks other communities. Everybody must do the best that they can with the numbers that they have. You have to lobby. That is what politics is all about. That is why it's a competition. And that is why you win based on the numbers that you get. It is not an equal play. There's no equality in politics. If it was, then we would not compete. We would all be equal. And this is why it's important for everybody to mobilize their numbers, to push their agenda, and that is how you get your agenda. As a community, we have numbers, but they only count when they are united in one direction. So anybody who is suggesting that we need to split up our votes to support one person or the other one, at this moment in time, when the first election is 4 years ago. Second, when you're in a government that we would like to stay in power for at least 10 years, so that we can benefit from what needs to happen, just like happened with the other government. Anybody doing that is an enemy of our community. He's an enemy of our community's political existence and political relevance. And I know there's always a feeling that we all don't understand what this means. Not too many people who are around today, who are adults, understand what it means not to be united, to be divided according to your counties or according to your sub-clans or sub-counties. That you have Murang'a people here, Nyeri people here, Kiambu people here. That doesn't work. It makes everybody weaker. It makes Murang'a weaker. It makes Nyeri weaker. It makes Kiambu weaker. Let us sort out our internal issues internally, but let us present a united front to the country, to the rest of the country. That's how we're going to benefit as a region. And I'm sorry for those who are going to get offended that I'm talking about this region, but everybody talks from where they come from. Right? We have this theory about how society is made. You have to start from somewhere. And I happen to be a member of the Mount Kenya region political community, and it is my intention for this community to succeed. Because also, we can't just succeed by ourselves, by the way. We need the whole nation to succeed. Because again, because we are a large chunk of this nation, if it succeeds, we succeed. If it fails, we carry the largest blunt of that failure. So this is both a national and a regional conversation. That is why I want to urge those people pushing Dende to take a step back. Dende is the chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on Budget. Very critical role in our community. If we fight, for example, assuming this fight between Dende and Rigathi gets to the next level, and Rigathi now also hardens his position and says, I cannot continue working with this person as the chairman of budget. And then we put the president, William Ruto, in a position where he has to choose whether he's going to continue working with Rigathi Gachagua or with Dende Nyoro. Rigathi Gachagua as deputy president or Dende Nyoro as chairman of budget. Who do we think he is going to sacrifice? Dende. I don't see him sacrificing Rigathi's deputy position for Dende's chairman of budget. So what's going to happen? Dende will lose his chairman of budget. If he loses his chairman of budget, that position that is benefiting Muranga, Nyoto, Senator Nyoto, so benefiting Mureu and making them feel hot and warm because they have this power and they have control over the resources of the country, is going to be lost to them. So everybody take a chill pill. Let's come together. Let's first accept that Rigathi Gachagua is the senior most leader of our region at this time. And let's be honest, if those of us who did not support President William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua have accepted that they're the ones who are leading us in that formation, why would those people who are the ones who are campaigning for them and gathering us in the crowd and the public for them be the ones who are starting to breed disunity and division within your team? Let us be wise. Let us be wise. Then these people need to be wise enough to realize that his current power and capacity is based on where he has reached. If you start a fight before you have secured where you are, you will lose what you have. Let us remember that Rigathi Gachagua's influence and capacity in this government is dependent on the fact that he can be able to speak on behalf of all of us. The minute it becomes possible for other people to speak on our behalf, then our influence, our power in this political dynamic that we have gets reduced. So it is not in our interest. It is not in our interest as a community to operate in silos. Let's come together. If we need to have a situation, we've already recognized the fact that Dede Nyoro is an emerging leader from our region. And as I said last week, he's not somebody we would like to lose. I would not want to see Dede Nyoro lose his chairman position because of premature ambitions pushed by his friends. Same way, I would not want to see Shungwa lose the majority leader position or Rigathi Gachagua lose the deputy president position. Let us agree. If you fight any of these three, first, you will not replace them. Second, you stand the very real threat of losing that position that they hold to someone else, and it's not guaranteed that that person will be from Mount Kenya region. Let us be wise. This is a season. Let us make the best of it. In this season, Rigathi Gachagua is deputy president. It is also very against President William Ruto's interests for us as a community that gave him the largest vote to split up. That split up is where rebellion comes in, and some people start saying, oh, I'm going to go to this side, I'm going to go to this side. So we are weakening the president when we continue having these disunity conversations within ourselves. We are starting to show like there is a possibility you can get to the president's house. And the president's house includes Mount Kenya and the Rift Valley. It doesn't look like you can get to the president's house and pull out some part of that house. Let us make that impossible. Because a strong President Ruto is a strong Rigathi Gachagua, is a strong Mount Kenya region, and it's a strong nation. So that would be my words for today. This is where we need to go. I want to strongly urge those of us, from within or from without, who think that the conversation about supremacy fights in Mount Kenya region is a good thing, to realize that it's only doing us damage. Doing us damage locally, doing us damage regionally, doing us damage nationally. We are weakening the president, we are weakening the deputy president, we are weakening our own regional political capacity to lobby. So let's not go that direction. Thank you. God bless you. As always, we do this from Rware Central, and we keep being open to accommodate you. Food, chai mandazi, nyama choma, pilau, still top of the market in this region, in this particular area. Accommodation, conference facilities. Please come and try us out as we continue to build this nation. God bless you. God bless Kenya. Thank you.